Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Thank you guys for joining us once again. So, many of us are going through tremendous periods of change, rapid growth. It can feel like you're on this incredible roller coaster right now. Sometimes feeling elation, other times feeling almost manic depression. Just such a cavalcade of emotions and different things just processing through you. And what's going on for many is really, it's symptoms of their Kundalini awakening. And Kundalini, as we see here, is symbolized as a snake or a pair of intertwined snakes that rise up the spine. And when they get to our head, they awaken the pineal gland and just change us. We are completely changed. We know we are in times of great earth changes, and we know one of the things that's happening right now is that there's a magnetic pole reversal. So what's happening now, as the pole reversal gets deeper and deeper in, our shields, the earth's shields that protects us from cosmic rays and solar radiation, is going down, and it's been going down rapidly. And so we are being exposed to more and more cosmic rays and energies that are actually awakening our dormant DNA. That so-called junk DNA, quote unquote, is actually coming fully online, and it's transforming us and awakening so many of us to the knowledge that we are truly interdimensional, multi-dimensional beings. We can travel in between dimensions. We do so on a regular basis. We've learned through science now that it appears that our brain is basically set up to operate on as many as 11 different dimensions. And many of us are just totally unaware of this fact. And many of us feel in these times as if we're perhaps even going crazy, feeling things we've never felt before, sensing things we haven't sensed before, seeing things we've never seen before. Perhaps you're questioning your own sanity a little. Is this real? Am I going crazy? And so for many of us, no, you're not going crazy. Although in classical Kundalini, sometimes people do. Basically go crazy, sometimes temporarily and sometimes permanently, depending on what they have going on in their minds, in their hearts, in their bodies. This is Kundalini, the Evolutionary Energy in Man. This is a PDF by Gopi Krishna. This is a very famous book. And in it, one person describes his journey through Kundalini awakening. And yes, he thought he was going crazy. And his family thought he was going crazy. But when we wake up and start to recognize the bigger picture and the fact that we are multidimensional, the rest of the world, which thinks it's sane, might view us in the light of looking at us as if we are manic or bipolar or basically just plain old crazy, when in fact we are just waking up to things that they can't perceive yet. And there's more senses coming online for many of us than just the traditional ones we have been taught exists. So I will encourage you guys to check it out, read through this PDF if you are so inclined, and experience what he experienced. So many people will recognize some of these symbols. And, when we look at this, you might see this and you might think it looks kind of like the staff of Mercury and Hermeticism, because Hermeticism is all about transformation, as is so many of the Western mystery tradition and also so many of the traditions in the East. It's all about transformation. It's all about alchemy, personal alchemy, transmuting ourselves into something more than just human. And so there's a lot to this symbology. And we can see the lotus flower down here and at the base, at the root. And we see the wings that develop as the Ida and the Pingala, the snakes, rise up and create this beautiful halo of energy there. So in most people, the Kundalini is not operating. And so we are limited as far as our ability to sense other dimensions and to actually manipulate this and other dimensions as well. When the Kundalini is activated, we can truly do things that are perceived as amazing by the majority of the populace, things that would blow their mind. So here you see a Kundalini system with a dormant central channel. And we have the Ida and the Pingala, which we see depicted here. And those are the masculine and feminine channels that run along the spinal cord and intersecting at the points where the chakras are, which the chakras are at points where there's nerve ganglia, nerve plexuses that operate the major organ systems of the body. And here we could see the Pingala and the Sushumna is that central channel. And so when our energies are balanced, when we've worked through enough karma, when we've done the deep inner work, then we can actually call on the Kundalini and cause it to rise. And as it rises on up through the central channel, opening the chakras in sequence, going ever northward, ever upwards, going from the Muladhara chakra, or basically down at your root chakra, all the way up to the Sahasrara chakra up in the crown, and even beyond that, because there are chakras that are beyond the crown chakra, and in many people they are getting activated now, and those are enabling us to contact our higher self to a much greater degree than we've ever been able to before. Contact source, pull down more source energy, prime creator, God energy into us, enabling us to hold more light, to exhibit and manifest a much, much higher state of consciousness than's been possible in the past. And so right now it's imperative that we clean out all the dis-ease in our body, minds, and spirits. Get rid of any trapped energy, anything you haven't processed yet. And this includes habits, this includes outlooks, this includes being judgmental. We have to learn to not judge. We need to step away from things that are limiting, and we need to embrace ourselves for who we are. We need to forgive others, but we also need to forgive ourselves in these times. Only when we let go of things like that are we going to be free to allow this energy to flow painlessly up the spine and awaken us to all new levels. If we're not able to process and purge the lower emotions, the lower vibrations, the Kundalini process could be extremely painful. It could be excruciating, and it can drive people insane in some cases. And so it's imperative. It's all right now about letting go. You have to sweep away all that's holding you back in order to let the Kundalini flow properly, in order to let your energies become balanced. A sign of a balanced individual is somebody that's in contact with both their masculine and feminine side. Somebody, if you're a man, you might be big, muscular, and strong, but you could cry like a baby at a drop of a hat because you're not afraid of being emotionally vulnerable. And you're able to exhibit empathy and compassion. And that is a big key. And then for a woman, it's also about being strong and yet fully embracing your feminine side, being able to take charge and being able to be all that you can be. We must not allow ourselves to be penned in by societal constrictions. In so many ways, it is time to say, screw society, screw the norm. I'm going to be myself. And that is happening all around us now as people are coming online to who they really are. And so it's best if we could be non-judgmental in this, because by judging others, we're judging ourselves, and we're doing nothing but holding ourselves back. And in these times, that's going to be a very painful thing to do, because the energy is going to reflect back on you and make you very uncomfortable. So we need to find that stillness. We need to recognize the multidimensionality that is within us. We are operating on so many dimensions. And most of us are not aware of that. And what we have to do right now, again, is purge and cleanse. Purge and cleanse. Allow the energy to flow freely and without impedance. Allow it to just be and draw it upwards. Clear yourself of any lower vibrations. So many people are going through so many symptoms of this change. But you see, what happens is we get our wings, so to speak. We become more than human. And we've seen the legends of Enoch and Elijah becoming Metatron, and Sandalphon becoming archangels, some say of the highest sort. That is the human potential. We can become something so powerful. It's amazing. And right now, you might find that if you're doing your best and clearing these blockages away, your Kundalini is rising, and you are perceiving things in a different light than you've ever perceived before. You're experiencing things you've never experienced before, and you're seeing things you've never seen before. You might be seeing light and fluttering through your third eye when your eyes are closed, almost as if a movie screen is starting to roll. And if we are doing our job to the highest degree, we will draw in our soul family. And even more than that, we might actually draw in what's called our twin flames, which is beings that are part of the same oversoul. So when you get down to it, you could easily see yourself in the other. And when you're with somebody in this type of relationship, your chakras will just line up and you'll experience part of the divine bliss that we will all experience at some point when we merge back with Source into the ultimate oneness. So we are going from a world of duality into a world of unity. That doesn't mean we're giving up our individuality, though, because that is actually going to be accentuated as we find this unity. And for many of us, we're being blessed with finding our true partners and our true soulmates in twin flames, and that is an ecstatic union. So we see Kundalini arousal through the Sushumna Nadi. Kundalini is conceived by the Hindus to be coiled up energy residing at the base of the spine and the root chakra. In most people, this energy is asleep, but it can be aroused through a number of practices, including, for example, yoga, meditation, and diksha. Now, diksha is the transmission of energy from an awakened person. So once we're awakened, we have the power to awaken it in others. And I know I've awakened it in many clients, and I believe, awakened it in Cindy to a high degree as well.
Yeah, probably the highest degree. I know I've gone through this before through my life, like when I was 15, probably when I was 25, then when I was like 36, and then this time is like probably the best but most difficult. At the same time, it's the most rewarding because I have such an inner bliss. It's really quite strange.
This is the word.
Yeah, it is. It's inner bliss, and
it's like an ecstatic feeling.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost uncomfortable, but it's not. It's nothing I want to suppress. It's nothing I want to shove down, but it's definitely physical and it's noticeable. And it's taken a lot of energy work and a lot of inner work and a lot of eating right and a lot of raising the vibration and a lot of exercise and enough to get it to the point where it's finally going to go on up where it needs to go. It's been a difficult journey. It hasn't been easy. And I think a lot of us are being bottlenecked into the medical system when we have these emotions that we don't know what to do with. Like, you know, mine could have easily been rage. It could have been all kinds of depression, bipolar. It could have been anything. I mean, my emotions were strong, and a lot of times they were directed in the wrong way, but it was the energy. It wasn't me, and I didn't know that. And we're not being taught this, and it's simply not fair. There's things that we can do to get through this. We don't have to suffer. We don't necessarily need a doctor. But I do believe what's helped me most is the energy work and the diet to keep it moving upward and onward and giving me that inner bliss feeling.
And as we see here, when the energy is aroused, it ascends through the spinal column in the Sushumna channel, passing through each of the chakras on its way to the brain. If the energy rises through the Ida and the Pingala channels instead, it could cause severe mental disturbance. And so again, the Ida and the Pingala are the masculine and the feminine channels, and that extends into many different ways. They're the channels of duality, we could think of it. So in these times, it's imperative that we balance our energies. We need to find balance and harmony in our life. We need to, again, find compassion and forgiveness. We need to let things go. The more we can let things go, the better off we are. So we lose our judgmentalism. We lose fears. You will lose fears in this process. You will no longer be jealous. You will no longer be guarded. You will let go of your phobias and your paranoias. All these things now are things that are going to be processed and purged. And so it's going to lead to a feeling of this divine bliss, this ecstatic feeling as we are truly uniting both halves of ourselves into one united being that has so much potential that most cannot even imagine what we can become. So again, though, it's one of those processes where we have to let go. We have to find the balance and the harmony. And if we don't, it could be a very, very painful situation. And of course, it's going to come in stages as you let go slowly in most cases. Some people could have a spontaneous awakening. That is possible as well. Kundalini symptoms are a natural byproduct when people awaken the Kundalini in their body and mind. The word comes from the Hindu traditions used to describe a form of mysterious energy that lies dormant in all of us at the foot of our spine. And when we awaken this energy, it rises up the spine, purifies all the chakras along the way till it reaches the head, where it unites with its divine spouse, and the person reaches enlightenment. The concept of energy from our abdomen rising up to the head is not limited to Hinduism, but has been known in many spiritual traditions over the world. In Tibetan Buddhism, it's called Tumo, literally fierce woman. In parts of Taoism, it's also referred to as well. And here again, some of the signs: hearing of sounds inside the head, tones, music, hissing, roaring. This is all part of it. Seeing light inside the head, when your eyes are closed, sometimes when your eyes are open. Seeing the environment as illuminated. Visual hallucinations. But they're not really hallucinations. You're just coming online to the reality that there's a lot of different dimensions around us. There's a lot of other beings around us. There's a lot of other energies around us. The feeling of unusual heat or cold in the body or the skin. You could get very, very warm, throwing everything off, and even drenched in sweat. And then the next time you'll be very, very cold and you can't get warm. This is all parts of balancing of the energy throughout, not even just the physical body, but the other energy bodies. Sensations of tickling, vibrating, itching, crawling, pleasant or unpleasant within the body or the skin. Spontaneous involuntary movements, right, which are called kriyas. These are all signs. And again, these are the chakras and what they basically control, their colors, their tone. Again, each color is a different frequency. It's the same thing with the chakras. They're all operating on different frequencies. And as we go through this process, third eye awakens, and we have a connectivity to other realms that most people don't have. And so Kundalini energy increases neurological coherence and turns the brain into a superconductor. A condensate is a substance whose molecules have a greater order and coherence than normal. In a Bose-Einstein condensate, the molecules have a high degree of order and overlap so that the condensate behaves like a unit. Superconductors and laser beams are examples of Bose-Einstein condensates in inorganic matter. Although in reality, there is no inorganic matter when you look at it, because consciousness is in everything. If the human brain has a sufficient supply of high-grade energy, the neurons will line up in the most orderly and condensed way we know. The Bose-Einstein condensate. This is also called neurological coherence. So when Kundalini has awakened, the brain will be turned into a superconductor, and your attention, your focus can be come just like a laser beam. And you will be able to do things that you had never dreamed possible as we evolve into something much more than what has been known to be a typical human.
Yeah, this has been quite the process for me, because a lot of this stuff I didn't know what was happening since I was a child. It's just now I realize, well, when I say child, I was pretty young. I was in my teens, I think, when the first time it happened, because I wanted to crawl out of my skin. I was miserable. I felt horrible. And I think for some people, if they have a spontaneous awakening and they're not prepared and they're not aware, they're going to end up, on drugs for mental illness. And I think it's really a shame, because that's happened to me too. And it's not very fair. We're on an uneven playing field when it comes to our energies, because we're just not going to be educated on this stuff. So I would, if you guys are experiencing these really high anxieties, I would really get curious about what to do to help raise your vibration, to help move this energy up. And it can take years. It can take a lifetime. I think I'm nearing the end of this journey, thank God, because I know the reward is going to be great. I didn't come all this way just to peter out. I didn't, it's since I met Michael, that's when I'm able to bring it up properly, through diet, through exercise. But those two things are critical: diet, exercise, energy work, and just repeat. Diet, exercise, energy work, repeat. And you're going to be okay. It'll be okay. Just let it do its thing. It's a process.
And the energy work side of it encompasses a lot of things, a lot of different practices. So we could do it through practices such as Kundalini yoga, or through Kriya yoga, or through QiGong, or through Tai Chi, or through very different types of meditation as well. Again, it's all about going within. We need to go within on a regular basis. This is imperative in these times. It's only by experience that we really make progress. We could listen to anybody, read anything we want, any sacred text. We could read any book you want to choose. We could profess any sort of belief. But unless we experience something on a deep cellular level and a spiritual level, and completely, body, mind, and spirit, it's not going to change you, not truly change you. Direct experience is necessary, and this is the gnosis that the Gnostics talked about. Direct experience. We must cultivate our consciousness, and that is what it is all about in these times. So as always, my friends, I invite you, if you're so inclined, come join us on Patreon, become a Patreon, and support the channel. Thank you guys so much for your support there, and also on Ko-Fi, as well as in the Super Chats. You're keeping us going through these times. And any questions, comments, we would love to have them. There are so many people going through this right now, and it's a natural process. It's something to be cultivated. It's not something to be feared, but it is something to be understood. So my friends, as always, God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.